the big long names at the top, but essentially what I should have said is people plus process equals performance. The speakers yesterday and today have really set this up beautifully for me because they've talked about all the concepts already. But I do want to get everybody up and get everybody warmed up today. And true HR nature, you can't just sit here the whole time. So what I want to do is we're going to have an ultimate rock, paper, scissors challenge. Now, there's none of this best of three. It's once you have done it, won or lost, you move on to the next person. Now, if you win your round, that's great. You move on, find somebody else to challenge. Maybe look for someone you think you can beat. I don't know. Now, if you lose your round, you get to follow that other person around and be their cheerleader. And cheerleader doesn't mean, good luck, mate. It is, I want to hear some noise. I want to hear it being rowdy, and I want to see how we go. So, if everybody wants to get up. Now, does everybody know rock, paper, scissors? Maybe I should give those rules. So, rock, paper, scissors. It's 1, 2, 3, and then you either do a rock, a paper, or the scissors. Yeah. So, let's go.
Get up, stand up.
Oh.
Stand up for your right.
Alrighty. I can't hear the cheerleaders.
Get up, stand up.
It's rock, paper, scissors.
Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
Yeah.
Reach out and
Yeah.
heaven is on the deer.
So paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper. Alrighty. Oh, I can't hear the cheerleaders. Come on, cheerleaders. Come on. Alrighty. Oh, I love those cheerleaders in the middle. Oh. Yeah. Oh. How many have we got left in the game? How many have we got left? Ultimate winner. Come on up here. Oh. Have we got one left? Come up here, the ultimate champion. It's the sleepy time, right? Come on up. Well, look around. You just beat everybody in this room.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
So you are our 2024 Ultimate Rock, Paper, Scissors champion. Oh no, that wouldn't be fair. I'm pretty good at it, but I've chosen to, not show anyone up. I really like the cheering, and I liked some of the trains that were going around. So essentially, that's what I'm here to talk about, and I'm probably done. It's the power of people. Collaboration and teamwork can actually amplify each other's success. So when I first said you've got to cheer for the other person, there was some extroverts like maybe myself and Wendy who straight away went into cheer, right? And there were other couple of quiet ones waited till everybody else started making noise. But it's about building that momentum and bringing people along when you're in a team. And it's kind of what we were talking about this morning and yesterday. But really, the impact that you can make on others and that others can make on you is I guess it's a critical impact of your businesses, of your chapters. You know, there's a lot of opportunity when you have your workplace culture right, and when you have your leadership right, and then when you have your processes right. And we talked a lot about that with Chris and the execution. We also talked about that with Liz around the leadership, those really important things about leadership. But for me, the key is getting all of those things right together. So what you really want, all things being equal, you want your employees or your chapter members, you want them to be culture champions. We do this really well in BNI. We talk about those stories. We hear a lot when we're at conventions. Why did you join BNI? Why did you stay? It's equally as important to do that in your own businesses, because sometimes they're the things we miss. We don't ask people why they've been here for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And it reinforces the culture that you want. Why do people stay? Why are people aligned with your business? What I'd like you to do just for a few minutes, whether it's thinking about your chapters or your business, just have a reflection. Are your employees or chapter members, are they resonating with the values of your company? Are they helping you move forward? Are they happy? Are you happy? It's really important, I think. All of that leads to obviously culture, but also engagement. Really happy that Chris spoke about that this morning as well. How to leverage your people, how you move forward, how you change that dial is engagement. Engaged teams are dramatically outperform others in productivity and profitability. Now, Gallup is a worldwide survey company. They're very well known, and statistics from Gallup actually show the tangible benefits of engaged staff. These stats are incredible, and they're real. The impact of engaged staff, 81% less in absenteeism, 18% less in turnover. So think about that in your businesses and in your chapters. 28% less in theft. Who'd have thought that was a thing, but it is. 64% less in safety incidents and accidents. So they're paying attention. They're focused. They're caring about each other more. They're seeing things that are potential areas that could be unsafe. And a 41% decrease in quality defects. The other side to engaged staff also have 10% increase in customer loyalty. They have 18% increase in productivity and sales, and a 23% increase in their profitability. Now, I know you're probably saying, that's fine, that's the world, what about Australia? Currently in Australia, the measurement is we've got 13% of staff actively disengaged. 67% are not engaged, and only 20% are engaged. So your actively disengaged people, they're the ones that are complaining about everything, working against you and everything. They're probably close to they're not always the nevers that Chris talked about, but often they are. And they're the ones that go, I've been working here for 20 years, nothing changes. It's always the same. Why do we bother? It's that little negativity whirlwind that you hear often. The 67% not engaged, yeah, it's all right. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do the minimum most days. Other days, I'm going to do even less. My boss isn't in today. I'm going to surf the net. I'm going to play the music. I get to work from home today. I'm going to sign in the morning, and then I'm going to go missing, I'm going to go to the beach. They're the ones that are kind of on that line, and then your 20% is like, yeah, I love what I do. I'm happy to be here. And thinking about, again, I'm the same as what Chris says. The 13%, they're probably the ones you're performance managing, so you do have to spend some time with them and on them. But that's not what moves the dial. It's the 67% that are not engaged. And they're the ones that haven't made the decision to leave, haven't made the decision to complain and poison the culture. They're just kind of meh. That's where you can make a huge difference. And if you just look at those stats we had before, moving the dial 5%, 10% can make a huge difference to your profitability, to your productivity, your engagement, your retention, and your happiness. It's an area that we can make a huge impact in. Now, Gallup's actual biggest discovery when they're doing these surveys was not all of that scary information we just saw. It was that 70% of the variance in team engagement is their leadership. So if you have poor leadership, they're going to make a huge difference. They're going to turn those engaged employees to not engaged or actively disengaged. And it's really difficult with leadership because often people are promoted through because they're really good at what they do. And we're like, they're the best person for the job. They deserve a promotion. They've been here ages. Then we promote them. And then we don't give them any leadership training or support. And then they start to fail. And we go, I thought they were so awesome. And now we're starting to treat them like poor performing employees, but we've skipped one of those steps of teaching them to be a leader and letting them make mistakes. And part of that teaching them to be a leader is culture, it's training, it's frameworks. It's giving them opportunities maybe before they're a leader. If somebody's away, can they step up? Is there another department we can get them to go in and mentor? Even in BNI, if the president's away for a week, can somebody step up? Is that the VP? Does everybody step up? I took over, came in this year as president, which is really a great opportunity. Thanks, Paul. And I put my little HR hat on. And I spoke to Paul, and I'm like, I'm going to send everybody position descriptions. I'm going to personally talk to them and invite them, and not just a tap on the shoulder, and I reached out to everybody. So it took a little bit longer than maybe the previous people behind me, but I was like, I'd like you to do this. This is what it entails. All of this good stuff we've been doing, we want to keep doing, but I also think we can do a couple of things differently, and I'd really love to hear your opinions. And then I said, and I'm sending a position description. So, people have got to know what, Trevor, you're like HR. You're like, yeah, I know. And so that's what I did. And I even said to people, do you want a day or two to think about it? Because I'm a different kind of leader. We're all going to collaborate. We're all going to get in and do it. And it was really funny. I got yeses. There were a couple in our chapter that had never stepped up. Even Paul said to me, I don't think you'll get him to step up. He's been there however many years. I don't think that he will. But he did. And essentially, I guess what I've found, not just through my years of HR and all the things I do, people love a process. And so while we're saying leadership's great, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, we still need some guidelines and some frameworks. People need to know their accountability levels. It's not about managing their decisions. It's like, you can sign off, I don't know, if you're in a corporate, you can sign off things up to $5,000. You kind of do that in different areas of your business. I don't care how you get there, but here's our frameworks. This is what we need. And then you give people that responsibility to work within those frameworks, and you support them, and you guide them. And if they've never done it before, yes, come to you with questions and solutions. Help mold them. That's kind of the key. And I think that's what I've always thought as. People have always seen HR, leadership, again, workplace culture, all as separate. It links from the start to the beginning. From the start to the end. So these are just a couple of things that I think you can do pretty much immediately to improve performance in your chapter or in your business. Again, it's that agreement on KPIs and metrics. It's all of that 4DX stuff this morning, right? Come together, make a plan, have the team own the plan. The big one for me, and I probably should have put it number one, is language. What I found through my 20s, 25 years of HR is that we all have certain words we use and we think everybody knows what they mean. Turns out we use words differently, the English language. So your language is super important. Your language is important from your policies and procedures, your values, how you communicate with each other. And you've got to make sure that everybody knows what each word means, you know? Is success, like, are you using success and failure? Do your business values say, we're an innovative team, we support ideas, it's okay to make mistakes? And then our policies say, discipline 15 times in the first 3 pages. Because if that's the case, your frameworks aren't aligned with your culture, and people get confused. Because you say you're okay to make mistakes, but when I look at this policy, I'm going to be fired. And I'm not saying that some people don't need to be fired. There are a few times they do, but generally that's a kind of a serious misconduct, kind of rock into work drunk, punch your boss. Like, they're kind of those more serious things, right? At the other end to that is nearly always miscommunication. Nearly every disciplinary I've been involved in, either in corporate, in my own business, small business, there has somewhere along the lines been this miscommunication, and then it's not been dealt with, and now we're here. So getting your language right and agreeing on what the terms and the meanings of those language, it's really important. And if you're doing values and things like that, you've really got to unpack the words you use, and then you actually have to put behaviours on those things like values. Because you can say, be professional. Well, what does that mean? You know, how do we get to do that? One of my absolute favourites, and again, Liz, you introduced vulnerability and leadership, is Brené Brown. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation and creativity and change. You can't move the needle unless you're vulnerable. You can't move the needle unless you say, I don't know. As a leader, I believe your number one role is to develop others. And so if you have the answers all the time, you're not developing anyone. The best leaders bring in people that are better than them. They bring in people that, okay, I'm not very good at this part of the thing. Instead of pretending I am, I'm going to bring in someone that's better than me. The best leaders aren't scared of somebody who's better than them at anything, because they can learn. It's really difficult in a team when your leader knows everything. The leader doesn't learn, the team doesn't learn. The only way to lift the team as a whole is for everybody to have a piece of learning and a piece of teaching. I don't need to go into heart-centered leadership too much because, thank you, Liz, we're very much aligned. Leading from the heart, like my dad's era, I don't want to hear about all those feelings and crap. That's not what we have. You've got to have people react better to people who hear them, see them, feel them. It's about caring about them as a person. It's not about, bringing the teenage kind of drama to work unless they're apprentices and are teenagers. There's still that level of professionalism and respect, but you've got to care about them and you've got to have that consistency with how you care about them. I always talk about the heart-centered is love. And everybody hears that and goes, love at work? Is that inappropriate? No. I want to work with people that I love. I want to work with people I care about. I want to work with people who respect me more than like me. But if I'm caring towards them genuinely, the like comes anyway. The like versus respect thing is really difficult for leaders. But if you're going from a place of trust, respect, accountability, consistency, like comes naturally. And they'll do better for you, right? They're not going to listen to you if you are that leader that tells them what to do. The world has changed. In my parents' era, you just did. You were afraid you were going to get fired. You've got to do what they say. Good businesses, they challenge the way they've always done things. They want to be innovative. They want to get better. You're not going to go anywhere when you're stuck in that, do as I say, I'm the only one with the ideas. So if anybody wants a copy of this, I've actually got a playbook. There'll be a code to scan to get it free. Brené Brown has this building trust inventory. It's a self-assessment. And trust is kind of a key to leadership, right? To build a safe workplace and be a vulnerable leader and to be able to talk about all those things that really matter, you've got to have trust. And what leaders often forget is you've also got to have trust in yourself. And as leaders, we often don't build trust with ourselves first. We always look at it externally. Now, I'll give you a couple of tips on trust, and this is broadly speaking. There are generally two types of people, automatic trusters and incremental trusters. I'm an automatic truster. I meet you, I love you, I trust you. Straight away, all good. Now, the downfall of being an automatic truster is, and if I don't pull myself up, if you make a mistake, you can go from I love you to I hate you, I don't trust you, I'll never trust you again. Anyone else feel like they're an automatic truster? Yeah. We get personally hurt by things that are really not that personal. We go, how could they do that to me? All I do for them. Now, your other level of trusters are incremental trusters. So they're like, okay, you seem okay. Okay, that was fun. I trust you a little bit. And I trust you a little bit more, and it's built through time, and it acts. And the upside to being an incremental truster is, if you make a mistake, you just fall that little notch. And they're like, oh, I'm not very happy about that. But they've shown me so many good things, I will trust them, I will give them another shot. The downside is it takes a while to get them to trust you. Now, you've got to think about yourself in those terms. First, you've got to realize what sort of truster you are and work on those edges of where we can go all or nothing, or I need a bit more. And then we've got to look at those around us and know how each of our team looks at trust. And that can take some time and some failures as well. But once you know that, it helps you bond with them better and it helps you understand them better. This Braving Trust Inventory, it's like a 5 or 10 minute exercise that you can just do for yourself. And it really will give you some key areas, like boundaries. And this is looking in ways, right? I respect personal boundaries. How many of us let our own boundaries go? We do and we do and we do, you know. Reliability. Do we promise something and deliver? Accountability. Do I take ownership of my mistakes as well as successes? Do I say to my team, I've made a mistake there? Or are we a little bit proud about that? Do we go, oh, that's embarrassing, I'm the leader. So it's a really great exercise to do if you want to build on your own skills as a leader. And it doesn't have to be in business or in BNI, it could be just in the community. Sorry. But I would encourage everybody to do this. It's, as I said, it's in the, I've got a people and process playbook. There'll be a QR code at the end, or if you've got your little bags, there's a little card with a tea bag. You can scan and get that. I guess just coming back a little bit to the frameworks, because we've talked about how we do some of this stuff, but now we want to talk about some of the frameworks. I've already talked about language, it's super important. Policies, procedures, a necessary evil, I'm afraid. I'd love to say, rip them up, get rid of them. But we all need boundaries, right? And we all need to give some boundaries to people so they know where do they fit in, you know? Even in our BNI chapters, right? We've got the 4 non-negotiables, you know? We've got to attend meetings, one-on-ones, referrals, those sorts of things. They are frameworks. There's policies, procedures. What I like with frameworks is it takes away the noise. All those little questions, what am I supposed to do? Or, I've been off sick, do I need a sick certificate for 2 days? All of that lower level noise can be sorted out with your frameworks. It gets rid of the noise and it gives you then some boundaries. And then you can go back to having what the really important conversations are. You can talk about what is that thing we need to move the dial? What are our challenges? What are we doing next week, next month, next year? It gets rid of all of that noise and everybody's then treated the same. You just rely on the process. It's nothing personal. It takes all of that angst out of it. Brené Brown, again, I'm talking a lot about Brené Brown, but she's kind of like my hero. I've got a big crush on her. She says clarity is kindness. So if people know what's expected, same as kids, right? I don't have them. My kittens don't understand the boundaries. But anyway, they're a different beast. But yeah, if they know what they're allowed to do or not to do, or within what boundaries. I mean, we were allowed to go out as long as we came home by the street lights. They didn't say where we could go, whether we could go to the next suburb or whatever. None of that. We could do anything as long as street lights were on, we were home. So think about your boundaries and your frameworks. Make sure they're simple. Make sure they cover the important things as well as some of that noise, and just be clear with them. Use your language that you're using all the way through your organisation. And make sure that they're supportive. Again, policies, procedures shouldn't be, you cannot, you must not, you will be in trouble. You want to say, you can do this and you can do that, and here's where you can do that up to. If you align your practices and your values, your culture, your leadership, they will all talk beautifully to each other. If you think about the best leaders you've ever worked with, do you think about a person or a feeling? Do you think about a time in your life where everything was great that you want to get back? I mean, again, it was on an earlier slide, like we want to get back to those things. So when you're writing these things and you're connecting your frameworks, your values, your culture, think about how you want to feel, how you want people to feel. Ask them how they want to feel at work. Do they want to feel heard? Do they want to feel challenged? Do they just want to come to work and feel safe, right? find out what makes your team tick, put those into the very fabric of your businesses, and then align people that align with that. In BNI, I mean, you don't just tick a box and get in. You actually have to apply. And we apply our values to that. And then the membership committee looks at all the information and then assesses whether someone's the right fit. Remember that in your businesses as well. Somebody who's not quite right from a values perspective can damage your business greatly. We've all worked with someone. Oh, that's just Bill. He just does that. We all skirt around him. We try not to bother him. But people are coming and going. They're leaving the business because of Bill. They think Bill's the favorite. They don't understand why. Those people will damage your chapters and your business. So setting those guidelines and expectations and aligning them with your values will then give you that right culture. I've skipped ahead a little bit. Just a couple of tips on aligning values in your daily practices. We've kind of covered that. I tend to skip ahead. Sorry, guys. And just ask yourselves these 7 questions. This is also in the playbook, but if you want to take a photo, look at this at your chapters or in your business. Ask these questions about your cultural alignment. You know, do people understand and know your values? We talk about them every week in BNI. Do you do that in your business? If you're part of a community group, do you do that in those groups? If you're not talking about them, they're not real. They're not then going to be embedded all the way through everything that you do. And you can't make values-based decisions if no one knows what they are. I guess those key takeaways, is the power of people, heart-centered leadership. The key to that is trust and vulnerability. You don't have to be the best. You just have to want to care. HR frameworks, they aren't a necessary evil. Sorry, I was going to say they are a necessary evil. They aren't a necessary evil. They're more than that. They're part of the fabric of your business. And your values and behaviors are always linked. And essentially, business success comes from that power, the power of people, plus the processes, and get to your performance. As I said, I do have a free people and process playbook. I unpack all of those things in a lot more detail. It's about 36 pages. So, have a look at it, use the resources, think about how it might affect your chapters and your businesses. Remember that people are your power. We saw that in the beginning, you know. I just gave a couple of wide instructions. You guys did the rest. And you became a team immediately. And you supported each other do the things that they were really uncomfortable about. So you can just do simple things like that to really engage your people and get everybody on the same team. Super, it's simple but not easy, I would say.